about as expected, I feel like, with the Dallas Cowboys and the Houston Texans. I thought y'all would put up a few more points, even if they were like obligatory kind of things, but it was just, and they were there. Aubrey's not going to miss a whole lot of field goals, and um, yeah, and then they kind of robbed him on a 64. They robbed me as well.
Yeah.
I was, hey, six
Yeah.
points from a fantasy team. No, sir, snatched that right away. So I only got to watch kind of the replay of this one as it happened. Kind of honestly felt like that was enough. I still say that y'all have one of the better backup quarterback situations in the
Oh
NFL.
yeah.
Coming from a team that
Yeah.
I really don't like, the Cardinals' backup quarterback situation.
Right.
So I do like that, and that means something, but it still means you're probably careening towards not fun times for the rest of the season at a glance. For the Texans, man, they played fine. Joe Mixon obviously made speaking of fantasy teams, I saw he did quite well for you. Not quite well enough to win your week, but
I
he
know.
made it close when it shouldn't have been. So that was something.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I'm actually happy for the Texans because kind of like the Texans, but
Oh yeah. Yeah.
for Dallas, this just felt like yep, that's kind of what I thought was going to happen. So when you watched this one, what was the standout for you, such as it was?
I mean, tears for the most part.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Cooper Rush. I think this is what you want to see of your backup quarterback. Not on every team, but on most teams, it's. I mean, this is what we have for the rest of the season. Let him go. And I like that. I really do. I'm really not a big fan of how we didn't run the ball. I think we just went ahead and said, yeah, Rico Dowdle's our guy, and then promptly refused to run him. So that was continuing frustration. But yeah, Cooper Rush can hit some passes for sure. I actually felt like our offensive line did a decent enough job. Cooper did get sacked 5 times, but some of that might have been Cooper. We had some fumbles. I mean, it wasn't a pretty game, but it was also against the Texans. So again, you're already beat up. I don't expect to win the game. There were some positives in that aspect, but I really felt like our defense did not show up particularly. Obviously, we were completely absent in the run game. You're welcome, Joe. And he looked phenomenal. So I don't want to take anything away from him, but still, it is Dallas's run defense we're talking about. And CJ was not overly impressive. I was not stunned or thrilled too much with his play either. Um, yeah, who knows where Dallas will go in this, but I was at least happy to see that. Hey, we how many backup quarterbacks are going to be told go throw 55 passes in a game, right? So, and it's always fun to watch Brian Anger throw a pass so that we can not get a first down on fourth down. So that was cool. It was nice for Aubrey to just go ahead and like cap it all off with missed field goals. I think that was delightful, and the double fumble that was maybe the crown jewel. It's not a butt fumble, but it was something pretty special. So yeah, my one when you were introducing this whole segment, you were talking about how you thought we would score more. My first question to that is how. Like, where were you imagining? Because the Turpin one was wild because I think they said he was the fastest moving guy in the NFL the entire season, which is wild. But I mean, how did you envision us throwing up? Let's say one more score, one more touchdown. That's not Brandon Aubrey.
Yeah, mostly I thought it would be field goal. I thought you and
Yeah,
Cooper Rush would be able to kind of manage the offense and get you
yeah,
to field goal range with your leg of made of
yeah.
adamantium, Brandon
Mm-hmm.
Aubrey, and then you know you'd be a respectable game even if it was fake. Like even if it's oh man, well it's 34-21 and yeah it's 7 field goals or something like that. Like it would just look better. Um, but that's kind of what I thought would happen. But it seemed like he just kind of like he missed one, and then the
Yeah,
64-yard one, they end up like, oh, they get a free first down, and they go down and 4th and 2, and they're like, never mind, we're gonna go for it, and kind of predict what happened there. And so it was just like you kind of left points up on the board. I don't think
oh
you were
yeah,
going to score 30 or anything like that, but I
right.
did think that there might be just a little bit more scoring from y'all. And if you could have kept the Texans out, one thing I was thinking coming into this game was if you could slow down the Texans offense by getting after CJ Stroud. I
Hmm.
was like, Micah Parsons might get in there. That would be like your wild card. I think they handled Micah Parsons quite well
Yeah.
for the most part. So, and yeah, that obviously didn't happen. But if you could take 7 of their points off the board from like getting a stop, and then add
Hmm.
9 points for you, this game looks a lot closer. Then it's a one-score game, and that's
It's
better. But
true.
it just wasn't to be. Obviously, that's not what happened. So meh, it is what it is. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see them moving forward uh, for different reasons. It's as a Cardinals fan, I'm all the time looking as like, well, we were we had been
Yeah.
looking at Marvin Harrison Jr. since before the start of last season. So
Sure.
now we get to kind of maybe, and I haven't even started doing this yet, but like scope out
Yeah.
like, well, who would be interesting for Dallas to try to go out and get in the draft, or should they trade
Hmm.
down, or whatever. So that'll be kind of interesting to get to do that from a different perspective. Um, the Jets just fired their GM. Now, the Cowboys are not likely to do that given the circumstances, but some people are for the whole let's fire him mid-season, or this isn't exactly mid now, but
Yeah.
two-thirds through the season or whatever. Do you think they ought to move on from Mike McCarthy? Uh, and if so, is there someone you would want them to try to bring in now, or just let the interim handle it for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I'm not as big a fan of the cut them in the middle of the season thing. I totally understand why the Jets do, because the Jets don't make sense, right? The Jets don't make sense. They have a good defense. They have kind of the right piece on offense, and they none of them work together. So I kind of get that. I get their stuff. There were definitely problems on Dallas, right? Before this, like, where's our running back? Why don't we have a running defense? There were definitely questions, but now we don't have a quarterback. Again, my hat's off to Cooper Rush. I think he played great, but our $60 million a year quarterback is gone for the year, and those other problems aren't going away. We didn't do anything to solve the running defense or the running game, so I just don't. What would even be the point? Now, with that being said, I'm not opposed at all, and I'm probably for moving on from Mike. I think that he's done a good job in helping us rack up some wins during the season and go nowhere in the playoffs. And I think there's plenty of people who can help us do that. So I'm not. I don't think I'm. I would not have a problem with them moving on from him. But we'll have to see. And I understand what you're saying about taking a look at looking forward to the draft. And I am, because we've got some rough games coming up. I don't see us winning a ton of them. We're up against Washington this week, and they look great. So yeah, I don't see us winning a ton more, and I am intrigued by that. But it's a funny time in football where you're not necessarily excited about the idea of, like, hey, our big needs a running back. You know, if there's not a Derrick Henry or an Adrian Peterson kind of guy there, then it's like, okay, cool. We'll see that in the second round or third round or whatever, right? So it's kind of an odd position in that route. I've been thinking a little bit about what that would even look like. I'm still not. It's too early to even know yet, but we'll see. We'll see. So yeah, next week's game at Washington is going to be probably a similar-ish game, I would think.
We'll see. Their run game's not as we'll get into their game more, but I'm less
Yeah.
scared of their run game than Joe
Oh,
Mixon.
agreed.
But and that's I still say that's your primary vulnerability. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I agree with you on the coach thing. I don't think there's any viable way actually to bring in a new coach now,
Yeah.
because whoever you bring in, he's going to want to bring in their people. Like he's going to want to bring in his
Hmm.
own DC and OC and quarterback coach and so on. And you're not going to clean house at week 12. Even if you were going into your bye, you're still not going to do that right now. So
Hmm.
um, that should wait till the off season if you're going to do that, unless you're wanting to give an interim a shot. To can he kind of take control of the
Yeah.
locker room more than anything? Like if you've got
Yeah.
locker room questions, can this guy just really rally guys? So That's the only real viability to that idea, I think. And it's week 12. I mean, it's like it's just stick it out.
Yep.
Like,
Yep. I
um,
agree.
uh, so yeah, we'll see what they do, but hopefully it's a quick turnaround, and Dak can get back next year, and it won't be matter. But anyways, we will get more